Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we are going deep into the jungle and deep into the mind of an explorer with the courage, curiosity, and desire to go first. It's not often that we get to meet someone who is willing to explore places that have never been explored before. Our guest is Philip Lhamsuren, a passionate adventurer, writer, and father who's been roaming the abandoned roads of the world since 1997. With roots in Mongolia, Philip now resides in Bulgaria. He has explored deeply on solo journeys through places like Bulgaria, India, Mongolia, Panama, and Amazonia, just to name a few. In 2015, Philip attempted to cross Amazonia from ocean to ocean, cycling across the Andes, summiting mountain peaks, floating through the jungle, surviving on fish, and spending nights on the banks of the river. On that journey, Philip lost equipment in an accident, was robbed, and targeted in a shooting. Ultimately, the expedition came to an abrupt end after he covered only 40% of his intended route. Philip's been back to Amazonia multiple times since to continue his exploration, both of that geographical and natural region, and also to explore the reaches of his own fortitude. Today, we'll be speaking with Philip from Manaus, Brazil, where he just finished leading a trip as he prepares for his next solo expedition back into the jungle. Joining us to help with the conversation is Marina Danailova, who is a friend and guest of Philip and was with him on their recent trip into the Amazon. I'm so excited to spend today with both Philip and Marina as we find out more about his life of exploration and what fuels him in his adventures. Get ready to feel the awe that's about to come. Philip, Marina, welcome to the campfire.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
Wow. Thank you so much for being here. You are such an incredible and inspiring adventurer. We're not going to even be able to scratch the surface in terms of talking about all of the different expeditions and adventures that you've been on. So I want to encourage listeners to go find out about you online, on your website, on Instagram. There are documentaries about you. But today I'm really excited to learn about the man and what fuels you. Philip, you have a very long list of accomplishments, including expeditions all over the world. Yet what drives you does not appear to be about accolades, but something much deeper. In order to provide context for listeners, I wonder if you could just share some of the details of one of your most favorite recent expeditions.
So I start with the Bulgarian because my English is very rough. So Marina helped me with the translation.
Great.
Yes, so I'm starting. Първо, нали, ме пита за кое ми е любимата. Нали? Най-любимата ми е, нали, Амазония.
Okay, so his favorite expedition is definitely Amazon, the expedition to Amazon.
Because I'm born in the South Pole, North Pole. And the South Pole is very attractive for me. All the jungle, heat, jungle fever, crocodiles, all this thing in the tropical, like I'm being a little child, I very excited of this volumes, how to say.
The difference, the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
The total opposite from what he's used to see and live in. So he was attracted to that from when he was child.
For a very young age, I read much book for the jungle, so this attract me very well.
And
Yes.
so it was the tropical feeling of the Amazon and some of the creatures in the natural world that was there that was intriguing you. That's what I understood from what you were saying.
Yes, because it's very exotic for me, this Amazonian jungle.
Very different, just the opposite.
Yeah.
Да, и просто от дете винаги съм искал да стъпя, нали, в джунглата и майка ми пращаше писма до Жак Кусто, който е изследовател, нали, сигурно го знае, за да ме вземе на неговия кораб Калипсо, но така и не получих отговор.
So from the time he was very little boy, he was always very interested into the jungle, and his mother helped him to write letters and send it to Jacques Cousteau so he could be part of his expeditions and mission on his boat.
Oh,
so it was
wow.
like a dream from when he was a little boy.
Wow, that is so cool. Like literally dreaming about adventuring with Jacques Cousteau.
Yes, but he never answered me, of course.
But he didn't get an answer back.
Wow. So you had to go find out for yourself. I understand. Maybe that was the best thing that he could have done because that further fueled your passion. So I wonder, just for listeners, could you kind of walk us through that one of those of your Amazonia experiences, kind of what that looked like for people maybe that aren't familiar? Like what kind of terrain did you go through? Like what was kind of an overview of the expedition?
Ами, как да превеждам вече?
Ами питате, нали, как изглежда за хората, които...
Как преминавам,
как преминава, през какви терени преминаваш, за хората, които нямат никаква идея. Най-общо как преминава една твоя експедиция.
Значи аз се стремя да минавам през Амазония максимално лесно, използвайки кану. Защото водните артерии са естествени пътища за преминаване в джунглата. И това местните хора го правят. Това е major начин за предвиждане. После пеше.
So the main way he travels through the jungle is through the rivers on a canoe, because that's the most popular and local way to do it here. So he follows that.
Да. И по този начин имаш най-добър контакт, визия за джунглата, най-лесно си ловиш прехраната и можеш да напреднеш най-много километри. Защото в сравнение с ходенето в гората, това е пъти по-лесно.
So that's the easiest way to go to save energy. You have access to food, and it's the most comfortable way to do it and easiest. That's what local does.
Yeah.
Yes.
And multiple modes of transportation, correct? So the goal was to go coast to coast. And I read on the website, you started out on a bicycle, but then eventually ended up on a boat.
Yes. The first goal of my first expedition is to cross South America to coast, yeah? For Pacific Ocean to Atlantic.
Yes.
But in the beginning, I need to start with a bicycle and climb some mountain ridge in the Andes Mountains, and then go down with the canoe. And when I leave the Ecuadorian-Peru border, that started much problems with the local people who
wasn't very welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
They robbed me a couple of times, and after 2 months, two guys, I see them. They shot with the gun.
Wow.
With a big distance. I don't have any damage, but after this incident,
he changed his mind and he decided to find another way because it was too dangerous. So they were trying to shoot at him from a big distance, but it was still very dangerous.
Yeah. Understandable. And I'm glad you made that decision because now you're here with us today. So I'm glad. So I'm curious, like what that was like for you when you set out on this adventure. Did you anticipate that kind of danger?
Yes. Очаквах.
Yes, he was prepared and he knew it was possible.
But I believe he's be everything good, of course.
Yeah.
But he was with the mindset that everything will be okay, and it's no other way. You have to be ready to do it and not be scared that much. But yeah, he definitely knew that it will be very dangerous.
И другото, което е, че нали, за да се подготвиш на терен, тя да имаш средства, за да мога да се запознаеш с реката, с бързиите, които минаваш. Аз понеже нямах тия средства и просто трябваше да се пусна, нали, да рискувам. И по този начин, по трудния начин разбрах, че не е окей.
Yeah, and what Philip is explaining is to be really prepared. You have to have a lot of money and explore the terrain before and know what's gonna be.
Hydrodynamic of the rivers.
Yeah.
Narco cartels, everything.
But he didn't have that option. He didn't have the resources to do that, so he decided just to jump right into it.
Yeah. I understand. Yes. That's the explorer mindset. I think it's so interesting though, when you think about this, it was the danger of other humans that ultimately forced this particular expedition to a stop, as opposed to the dangers that people might expect you to experience in the jungle.
Everywhere in the world, the human is most dangerous animal, I think. Because in the latter place in the world, when I traveling, the most big problems is with the human. When you traveling alone, you are very easy target. So
yeah, it looks like the biggest danger comes from people and humans, not that much from nature and animals.
Yeah.
Especially when you travel alone, so you're an easy target for people like that.
Yeah.
Philip, you do almost all of your expeditions alone. So based on what we just talked about, being an easy target when you're alone, how does that, your desire to do these explorations alone, knowing that you're a target, like, can you help us understand your mindset on that?
After these couple of incidents with the local people, аз се преместих фокуса към диви територии, в които дори няма хора.
Okay. So yeah, after the incidents that were happening, he decided to change the focus and go in the regions that there's no people, it's just nature and animals, so it's much more peaceful and he felt much safer that way. So he tried to avoid humans and go in more regions with no humans at all.
Yeah.
Yes. More wild nature.
Just wild nature.
Yes.
So I think it's so interesting because part of this podcast is to help people. I think most of my listeners are suburban, urban people that have aspirations to go do things in nature, but sometimes they need a nudge to go into nature. And it's just so interesting that it's like, it's not the nature that's the dangerous part. It's the human aspect that they may already be, to some extent, already exposed to and aware of.
Yeah, very true.
Yes.
Yeah. So Philip and Marina, thank you. I think our listeners, they absolutely need to go online and find out more about some of the expeditions that you've done. If they're interested just in finding about the places that you've done and the logistics and some of the experiences, they can do that very easily online. What I would really like to do is just find out more a little bit about you and kind of your adventure mindset. You on your website have a lot of really interesting and thought-provoking quotes and just insights on these expeditions. So I just wondered if I could just kind of read a few of them to you and then just have you kind of talk to us a little bit about what brought you to share those insights on your website. And I think it kind of helps us to understand you a little bit more. The first one, it says, at age 17, Philip turned his back on Europe for more than 2 years in order to return to his roots and strengthen his blood ties with Mongolia. In the course of this adventure, he discovered the peculiar state in which man becomes one with land and nature. And I'm really curious if you can talk to us about that discovery, that peculiar state when man becomes one with land and nature. What is that experience like for you?
Първо, нали, как да го обясня най-кратко. Първо, връщайки се в Монголия, нали, местните хора винаги са били свързани с земята. И ти няма как да имаш тая връзка без да попиваш техния опит. И аз, нали, реално от България веднага отидах по юртите да живея. И там се учиш на търпение, на наблюдение и когато си толкова млад, нали, не знам дали ме разбираш. На думите дали.
So when he returned to Mongolia, it's just the way they live there, and they're very attached with the land. That's their culture, that's their ancestors. So it's no other way that you can live differently. You go there and you just live like them. You observe, you watch, you just merge in everything. That's the culture. That's the way they do it. So he turned straight to that, and he was living in nature, just the way
and I grow
people
up,
live there.
Yes, and I grow up with this harmony 2 years. So this тръгнало ми повлия на характера, как да го образуването на характера.
And he started to live like that for 2 years, and at this young age, because 17 you're still a young person, it helps you so much to shape your way to live and what you like and how you want to do things, your understanding about life.
И това ме оформи като характер.
And that's how his character was shaped. It helped him a lot.
How is that? I think the best way probably for people to understand is to contrast it to how the rest of the world thinks and lives. Like, how would you compare that this peculiar state of mind of becoming one with land and nature with sort of the more traditional mindset on?
Yes. Това е много трудно да го обясня в момента.
Да, какво го сравняваш и разликата?
Просто аз имам такова усещане.
Някак си да го сравниш с останалия начин на живот.
С останалия, аз бягам от останалия начин на живот, реално.
So that's the way Philip wants to live his life. So he tries to avoid the other way, like how people live in cities and towns, and that's just his way, and that's what he's actually trying to avoid. And he lives more like close to nature. That's how he feels well.
И аз бях привлечен към това. Винаги съм бил привлечен към стария начин на живот. Това е живота на моите предци, нали. Това за мен е като в книгите, които съм чел, и нали, то си е, нали, пожелал съм си го и тая връзка се е развила много по-бързо. Защото аз самия по натура съм търпелив, мълчалив и наблюдателен. И, нали, ако въобще мога да е окей, то
Да.
смисъл.
So that's his nature. He likes to live like that, in silence, in peace, just observing nature, and he knew that from very young age. So that's what he was looking for to live.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you feel a sense of safety in nature? Like away from civilization? Do you feel a sense of safety there?
Yes. Yes. По различен начин, yes.
In a different way, we can tell that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I working with my full potential and decision I make in the tough terrain.
Yeah.
Is how to say, решенията, които правя, нали, от тях ми зависи живота, нали.
Yeah, so it's life-saving decisions. So he has to take decisions in nature, and it's very important. It's life-taking decisions for him in nature.
Просто за мен природата е много по-честна. При нея има това и това.
There's really clear rules in nature, so that helps him a lot. It's like no complicated human behaviors and connections and attitudes. It's much more simple, much more real.
Както казвам аз, когато излезеш от обществото и влезеш в природата, маскарата свършва.
Yeah, so it's no layers hiding in nature, your real self. So when you go from the town to nature, your real self, there's no layers that you hide behind.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I alerted you guys in advance. I wanted to talk a little bit about fear, and I'm having some thoughts about this because I guess I just want to ask, like, when you're in nature, how does fear show up for you? How do you experience fear when you're out in nature?
Иначе страхът е показател за живот, като показател за живот.
Okay. So actually the fear directs him how to live his life. It's a way to follow and
И аз винаги го слушам, и аз винаги вървя и се движа с огромно чувство на страх.
So he always listen and I acknowledge that fear, and he walks that way with the fear. It's like his way to do it.
Защото само този страх ми показва как да вярно да върша нещата, нали? В смисъл, не се предоверявам само на опита си.
So he doesn't just trust his knowledge, his experience. That's the fear, how it shapes him taking decisions, and he really trusts the fear to take the right decisions.
Yes, he trusts the fear. So it feels like the fear that you experience, it's a guiding fear, and it's like primal. And I'm wondering, like, do you experience fear in civilization, and how is that fear different?
Yeah, it's definitely both for him.
Yes, и страха от цивилизацията е за мен е по-силен.
And the fear from the civilized world, it looks like it's harder, stronger for him than from nature.
Защото в цивилизацията се чувствам аутсайдер, а в природата разчитам само на себе си и съм творец по някакъв начин.
So in the normal world, he feels a little bit aside, a little bit different, and just apart. And in nature, it's just the opposite, the total opposite. He feels his real self. And
не помня. И нещо друго имаше да кажа, но значи за страха беше. В смисъл, is the break. Сме да saying. Okay. Да продължа да пити.
So what was your other question about fear, Scott?
Well,
About-
what I was picking up on was, I think we often talk about fear that comes through this fight or flight, like this kind of primal, people often talk about the fear that arises when you're being chased by a tiger, right? And the fear that most people experience now, like in the civilized world, most people aren't getting chased by tigers. But when you go into these natural environments like Amazonia, like maybe it's not a tiger, but you are having that more primal fear. And that's a different kind of fear than most people experience in civilized society. And so I was just curious about how those two different kinds of fear show up for you.
Разбрах ли го правилно?
За първичния страх те пита, нали? Реално, че хората в града се страхуват от някакви неща, които няма как там да им се случват, а ти директно отиваш в джунглата, където има такива реални страхове.
Първо, аз съм се подготвил много добре, като знам поведението на животните, които защитават живота ми и знам докъде мога да преминавам границите с тях.
Okay, so before taking those trips and expeditions, he prepares himself very well.
Yeah.
So he really knows what to expect and how to deal with it.
With the danger animals.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is много си губа мисълта, така като. Иначе. I forgot.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I love how this connects. I just love the primal aspect of the fear. Yeah.
And maybe the most powerful fear in me when I am alone in the jungle is to be hungry. The hungry is a very powerful instinct. So this helped me to hunt better, to think better, and to move better. Just hungry, because I don't have a lot of options to have with my backpack provision. I need to hunt my food.
Yeah. I mean, it's true survival. I mean, it's true survival instinct.
И когато съм най-гладен, хващам най-добре.
So it's one of the biggest fear for him is the hunger, because he doesn't have any provisions with him. So it really depends on what he'll find, how he'll survive, and what he's gonna eat. And that's how you develop your best skills to hunt. And when you're hungry, you have from the need to eat, you become very well hunting and very focused and more intelligent and more careful and more prepared for that fear.
Yeah. So what I heard you say, which I think is just so cool, is that, we have these like primal instincts of fear, of hunger, and these things guide you in the jungle. And I heard you say that the rules in the jungle and in nature are very, very simple. You follow these primal instincts and you're going to be okay. And those rules are not so simple in civilized society.
Yes. И винаги имам нещо като superstitions, нали, суеверие, където спа на място бивак, където съм спал добре, хванал съм си рибата. Преди да си тръгна, всеки път благодаря на мястото, с сърцето си наистина.
So he has some habits, some rituals, some superstitions in the jungle, a place that is safe for him, that he makes his place to sleep. He's thankful. He thanks the jungle that he was protected, he was safe before leaving. He's always sending those thanks and prayers and for the place.
I think and I believe this helped me to the another day in the jungle, and because I show respect to the nature, So this is a human needs.
Yeah. But you're part of it out there. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions. We'll go through this a little bit more quickly. I think one thing that was interested on your website at the top right, there's three like values that have little graphics on them, and I'll remind you what they are, but I presume that these are things that are really important to you and that drive you. But there's act with values, abandon roads, and explore further.
Yes.
And I just wondered if just you could share, what does each one of those mean to you? So act with values.
Act with values. Yes.
Oh, nice. So for those that are listening and aren't watching the video, you've got some ink on your arm that says act with values.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what does act with values mean to you, Philip?
Първо, тези рисунки са нарисувани от майка ми, която беше художничка.
So those drawings are made by his mom, and she was an artist. So
Cool.
they're very important for him.
Yes. И те символизират буддийските ръце на даването, на поемането на знание.
And so they symbolize the hands of the Buddhism, the giving,
Да, и развитие.
the development,
Yes. And вяра.
and belief.
Yes. И акт от валис, нали, има предвид, че човек трябва да има ценностна система, да знае кога да убива по-малко, да уважава, да бъде добър. Това е да има една ценностна система към света, която е в хармония с едни правила. Това е акт от валис.
So the act for values, that principle, is very important for him, and he's saying even when you need to hunt or use the nature to do it with a lot of respect, it's very important.
Thank you.
And abundant roads това са пътищата, които ние сме изоставили, защото смятаме в днешно време, че са архаични. В смисъл, че това вече е изчерпано. И това също е свързано с ценната система. И то има двояк смисъл. Другия е, нали, не трябва да изоставяме миналото си, защото в него се имат достани, преведи го това.
So the abandoned roads is those roads that we forgot about it, and they're still very important.
Пътищата, миналото, което ни дава мъдрост, всъщност.
And that's we can take a lot of wisdom from there, and they're very important to us. We can.
И това е връзката с реално нали, преди човек имал връзка с природата. И тя е изоставена.
And that's actually the connection between people and nature, which is a little bit right now abandoned too.
И смисъл е, другия му смисъл на това, т.е. това смисъла е да вървя по пътища, по тези стари пътища, да се връщам назад към миналото. Защото аз правя експедиции, които са правили каменните хора.
And another sense of that is that he needs to go back to that ways. It was ancient ways. So that how our ancestors were going through those roads, and now they're a little bit left behind and forgotten. And that's very important for us to stay connected with our ancestors and nature.
Yeah. And so I just want to repeat one thing that you said, because that just struck me, that one of the abandoned roads is the connection between man and nature right now.
Yes. And the trees explore further. Това е да подминава собствените си граници на страхове и на предразсъдъци. Лично.
Yeah, explore further is just to pass your fear and push yourself and go beyond what you think you can do, and just push and go further. Pass your principles, pass your stereotypes.
Воден от абсолютно чисто любопитство.
And just the drive for that is just the curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yes.
Curiosity. One of my favorite words.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I love the three values: act with values, abandon roads, and explore further. Those are great. Another quote on the website: surrounded by mountains, silence, and the shadows of the campfire, Philip came up with the idea of expeditions powered by human force alone. So, Philip, what is it about expeditions powered by human force that's so important to you?
Значи, нали, в началото аз съм пътувал и с моторизирани средства, нали, с други хора в група, но когато сам със собствени сили се придвижваш, ти тя да вложиш много труд, много ум и това за мен е честно. With fair means. Нали?
So in the beginning, Philip was traveling in groups with motorized vehicles, but it wasn't his way. So he decided to do it by himself
Защото е по-трудно
because it's more difficult that way.
и трудността ражда как така, награда.
And that difficulty just gives you a lot of prize. You take a lot of prize of that.
Нищо
okay.
не е напълно, нали?
It's very difficult, so nothing is that easy and ready for you. So you have to fight and find a way by yourself.
И това е честно.
And that's what he feels like it's fair, the fair way to do it.
Yes, because it's easy with the machine do some things. When I hunting in the jungle, I don't hunt with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I just put как се казва примка, капан with how to say in English. I hunt only with my hands and rope. You know.
Rope, yeah.
Whoop. I don't know English how to say.
Yep.
Whoop. Yes.
Loops.
Yes. Or in the kopje, как е?
And
Spear.
stick, spear.
Spears, yeah. Yeah. So
And
tools,
this is very yes.
yeah, tools that you require the human body and human effort. Yeah.
Yeah, no rifles, no guns.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
the
so you find that more rewarding and more fulfilling to do your expeditions powered by your own body, by your own muscle, by your own energy.
Колкото повече нямам специализирана екипировка като бензин, газ, котлон, такива работи, или пушката в случая, толкова повече развиваш умения, а когато ги развиваш тези преки умения, по-лесно четеш природата. Имаш повече шансове.
So yeah, without having these tools,
Като газ, бензин.
he doesn't have like gas, any things to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, he do everything by himself,
Yes.
and that's how.
Това ти помага да се свържеш с природата по-бързо.
That's how you connect with nature much faster.
Но е по-опасно.
But it's definitely more dangerous. It's not the easy way, it's the hard way.
И когато излезеш от опасното, много по-лесно прочиташ знаците в природата.
And when you're out from the danger, you know how to read those signs much easily.
Ще го кажа по-лесно. Аз съм човек, който гори мостовете си след себе си, за да не мога да се върне. И когато само пътят ти е напред, тогава ти тя да...
So traveling on those expeditions, Philip tries to burn his way back. So that way he's going just further ahead.
Yeah.
Защото ако имам... то ясно нямам по-лошо.
Well, I also think something that's interesting about this is it doesn't require, I'm going to say, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, but a supply chain, right? It doesn't require being able to buy products. Like this is all stuff that you can find in the jungle, and you don't need to purchase things. You don't need to, it's all things that you find on your own. And that's, it's again a very primitive and primal way of living. It's it's true survival. It's super inspiring. Next question that I had or the next quote that I found on the website. Philip believes that we humans should push ourselves not only in pursuit of an active lifestyle, but also in order to transcend beyond the boundaries of our own stereotypes. I wonder if you could speak to what these boundaries are and what these stereotypes are that this quote suggests that we need to transcend.
Първо, мисля, че му отговорих по някакъв начин с твърдят, нали? Че трябва да преминаваме тия стереотипи, но не знам, ти смяташ ли?
Part of the answer was just to explore further, just to pass through your fears, to go further, and don't stop, just explore and try to step had those stereotypes. So
Yeah.
it was part of the answer. It's the explore further.
Да, и аз мога да давам екзампъл, нали, как се казва, пример, как примерно съм питал във Френския легион, нали, аз искам да пресеча амазонската джунгла сам, нали, специалисти, които се занимават с тия неща, инструктори по оцеляване в джунглата. И те ми казват, че това не е възможно. Нали, и да автоматично ти кажат, че и ти чуваш от експертите, че не е възможно, това автоматично тя да пресечеш тая, защото това са специалисти го казват. Все пак да го направиш.
So while the time Philip was in the French Legion, he was sharing that idea to cross the jungle. That was part of his dream to do it. And the people that were really on top, they were saying it's not possible at all, and he cannot do that, and it's impossible. Nobody does it. So it's what even people that
specialist for the jungle,
much more specialized about the jungle, and they were saying it's not possible to do it.
So was that fuel for you, Philip? Did them telling you that it was impossible make you want to do it even more?
No. Просто това е по този начин аз този стереотип го прескачам. Да го давам като пример.
It's just an example how to pass that stereotype.
Yes.
Това пък аз ги разбирам, защо те ми отговарят, защото в армията ни учат винаги да сме заедно и да си помагаме, защото армията е отборна игра.
And he understands their answer just because in the army it's team playing, so they have to stay as a group and help each other, and what he was trying to do was very, very different. So he really understands their answers. But...
И затова истината е между техния отговор и между това как да ги разбираш те какво казват.
So the truth is somewhere between why they're saying that, and it's somewhere between the two positions.
Защото местните хора също никога не ходят сами в джунглата, макар че всеки от тях е способен да направи това, което аз направих всеки ден.
And what Philip is saying is that even locals people that are from here and they're very prepared, the indigenous tribes, they never does this also.
Защото да си сам е табу. Но всеки от тях може да го направи, ако няма тази преграда.
Because they believe like being alone in the jungle, it's a taboo, it's something that you don't have to do at all, but they have all the quality and knowledge to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just the mindset.
Yeah, and so I love that you said that it's somewhere in between, like you said, the stereotype that something can't be done, and listening and taking and yielding to that person's advice, but also recognizing that you needed to find out for yourself. And so one of my questions was going to be, as people are listening to you, I mean, you've done some incredibly inspiring things and you've gotten out into nature. I guess what I'm wanting to ask is, do people have to experience this for themselves, or can they simply learn from someone like you? How important is the experiential piece?
Всеки има различен път да научи.
So everybody that has a different way to learn things.
И според мен човек, когато копира друг човек, той не следва собствения си инстинкт.
And Philip thinks that it's not a good idea just to copy somebody else because you don't follow your own instincts.
Защото когато в природата следваш собствения си инстинкт, ставаш част от нея. Ако не, ставаш храна.
Because when you're in nature, when you follow your real instinct and you follow that and you listen and you know how to understand and hear it, you become one with the nature. And if you don't do that, you become like food.
You become food. Listen, I think that is great advice. I think what I just heard you say is, yes, there is this peculiar state where man becomes one with nature, but that doesn't mean that you should just go out into nature, into the middle of the jungle and trust your instinct. It takes practice, it takes learning, and you've got to build up that ability. Is that fair?
Yes. И много пъти аз страха ми, подсъзнанието, интуицията също много работи. При мен и ми е казвала да се върна. Аз много пъти съм се връщал.
And you have to, it's very important to really listen to your instincts and intuition. And sometimes your intuition tells you to go back and you have to follow that and understand and just take steps back. And he did that a lot.
И тя ми спасява живота.
And actually that's what saves him in the jungle. Those feelings, that intuition, and you have to listen very carefully to it.
Yeah. I would suggest that Philip's intuition in the jungle is probably a lot more reliable than, for example, mine would be. And I think some of that comes with the experience and the time that you've spent there. So I have a great respect for the adventures that you've been on and the experience that you've taken and that you've developed, and that intuition is probably something that has always been with you, but also developed over time. And that's not something that's easily replaced by just deciding one day that you're going to go into the jungle. That being said, Marina, you just went on an adventure with Philip in the jungle. And I wonder if you could just tell us just a little bit about the trip you guys just took together and how cool it was to be able to do it with Philip.
It was wonderful for me. It was like a dream come true. A little bit similar with Philip. I had the same interest into the jungle. So I was reading a lot. I was watching a lot of movies. And it never leaves me. With the time, it just stays with you. And you know that one day you have to do it. And thanks God that they finally came, and I'm more than happy I had the opportunity to do it with Philip, because it was amazing. It was an inspiration. It was wonderful.
Can you just give us a little overview of the actual trip itself? What did you guys do on this trip, and where did you go?
Yes, so we were a group of people, about 10 people all together. So we didn't know each other, some of us. And we started the trip from Manaus. We stayed in the city for a few days just to meet each other, just to feel acclimatization, just sleep well. It was different in hours. We were all flying from different places. So we explored a little bit the city, and then we left with a boat for like almost 10 days. 10 days on the river, on the canals, sleeping on hammocks on the second level of the boat with a very nice crew, and it was wonderful. It was magical.
And every day hunting for piranha.
Yes, we did some really cool things. Yeah. We were going with motorboats. We were going with Philip's canoe. He was catching caimans, crocodiles for us in a very good way and with a lot of respect again. Yeah. So it was we could see them from so close, and yeah.
What kind of wildlife
we were
did
watching
you see?
The birds.
What kind of animals did you see?
Yeah, so we saw the parrots, the toucan, the piranhas, so many things. Caimans.
Yeah.
Lot of
everything that was around.
What kind of food did you eat on this trip?
Traditional local food. This is
it was the crew on the boat. We had a lady. She was cooking for us, and it was
local family. I have my friends who I ran the boat, and the captain and his wife. She cook, and they do everything.
Yeah, we had breakfast, we had lunches. Food was not missing at all. It was very delicious. She was awesome, and we can tell she was cooking with so much love and care. And it was a great experience. We ate all those great fruits, and all the food was local too, which makes such a big difference. And we slept on the hammocks, so in nature.
No windows, no nothing.
No walls, no doors, no windows. So we really felt part of each other together from that experience, like a family.
Yeah. Marina, when we started
yeah,
this
we
call, before we started recording, you had a big smile on your face and you said that the trip was way even better than you had expected. And I just wonder if you could kind of share what made it better than expected for you.
Absolutely. What made it really better for me was that it was, we all have those fears that
Yeah. Uh-huh.
even we had a lot of information from Philip. He was so sending us emails with a lot of information. We were talking with him and we trusted him, of course, but you always have those fears in your head. So I was really surprised how safe it was, how comfortable I was feeling with the jungle, with the nature, with the locals. So it gave me that option to really melt in nature and be very silenced and absorb everything and enjoy it at 100%. So I didn't have any other concerns. So that made a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
So I could really, really feel everything in a different way.
Yeah. And you and I chatted briefly a couple of weeks before the trip. And you mentioned to me that you probably wouldn't have taken this trip because you might have been too fearful, but the fact that Philip was guiding made you feel very safe. And his local
Absolutely, yes.
knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely. I trusted him 100%. And I was following Philip from so many years. And I'm definitely very thankful I did the trip with him because that was a very big changing point to me. All the knowledge, all the stories, just watching him, what he's doing in nature, the way he acts with nature and animals, that's incredible. I mean, huge admiration.
So
With a lot
Philip,
of respect, we can actually not just read about those values, but you can see those values every day coming from him. So it was wonderful, magical.
Philip, when this trip is done, you will begin your next expedition. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have planned?
Yes, the next expedition is named The Silent Roots of Amazonia. И това име е, нали, Silence. Наистина ще навлеза в райони, в които са много, много диви и никога не е стъпвал човешки крак, намира се в северо-западна Амазония.
So the silence is because it's a very, very wild place and there's no information that nobody has been ever there. And it's in the south-north part.
West-north.
West-north part,
Yes.
sorry.
И са планини.
It's mountains, mostly mountains there.
Тепуис, платовидни планини, как да го кажа.
Like flat rocks with mountains.
И отгоре на тези планини растителността не се е променила от времето на динозаврите.
And the vegetation on top of those mountains and flat rocks never changed from the time of the dinosaurs.
Wow.
Because they're very, very isolated.
И това са най-старите планински изобразования на планетата.
And that's one of the oldest mountains formation on the planet.
И аз се насочвам в най-южните такива планини на тая верига с планини, която е цяла северна Амазония.
And he's going in that south
part of all the mountains of these old mountains in the Amazonia. The north region is all in the mountains in Amazonia. So the first main goal in the expedition to go to this north part to explore.
Is there anything that you hope to find or experience on this? You mentioned that you're going someplace that no one's ever been before. Is there anything in particular that you hope to find?
Аз със сигурност ще намеря нещо ново. Въпросът е дали ще ми стигне знанието да определя, че е ново.
So yeah, he's sure he's gonna find some new things, but he doesn't know if he had the knowledge to really understand and explain what that is. what he gonna find, but he's sure he gonna find some species like that there because there's a lot.
Защото за да определя нещо, че не е открито за науката, все пак аз трябва да имам научно образование.
Yeah, because he doesn't have that knowledge, that educational knowledge to determine if it's a new species or not. It's much more specific.
Все пак аз за това ще се опитам да документирам всичко, което ми изглежда подозрително непознато.
That's why he gonna tape everything that he sees and he've never seen before.
Yeah.
And he'll try to take pictures and tape that, everything he sees.
Сложността на тази експедиция, че няма нито една точна карта за тия райони.
And what that make very difficult this expedition is that there's not even one map about the region. There's no maps at all. Nobody really knows anything about those regions.
И това ще ми отвори много неприятни изненади на място.
And that will make a lot of difficulties and very hard surprises for Philip there at place, because he doesn't know where he's going actually. There's no maps. You cannot be prepared before.
Yeah. It's amazing.
What to expect.
Yeah, it's amazing.
И другата трудност е, когато влизам в тия планини, когато се изкачвам отгоре, там няма да има животни и риба. И аз няма да имам храна. Така че аз трябва да замъквам храната, която си хвана от долната джунгла горе.
And when he's going on top of those mountains and rocks, there won't be any food anymore for Philip, so he has to hunt down there and bring the food up and save for later, because up there won't be any food for him.
И горе няма дървета, има само храсти, малки дръвчета и аз трябва да спа само на земята дори.
And on that highest level, there's no trees. It's just like small bushes, and he has to sleep on the ground. So it won't be any way to put his hammock on trees. He has to sleep
И аз нямам яке, нямам спален чувал.
And he'll do this expedition with the extreme minimum gear. So he won't have any jackets, any tools.
Any sleeping bag,
no sleeping bag,
no
jackets, and it's gonna be very difficult because he's traveling with the really minimum.
И спасяването от такова място е почти невъзможно.
And if he needs some help there, someone to save him in a situation, it's actually impossible. It's no way it can be accomplished.
И другата опасност е, че на север от този район наоколо има племена, които никога не са срещнали бял човек. И не знаем как ще реагират.
Okay, and another very big difficulties about that expedition, it's like on the north, of that place, it's a lot of uncontacted tribes that have never have any contacts with other humans, and we never know what to expect and what to be prepared for.
А те много лесно се разберат за мене, само като видят стъпките ми и ще преценят, че съм сам.
But they have all that knowledge to see him before and see the marks, the footprints on the ground, so they'll know that he's traveling alone, and they'll have all that information. They have all those skills to know about it.
Yeah, I think most people assume that the world, the earth, has been fully explored, but it's so inspiring to hear. I mean, you are an original explorer, exploring places that have never been explored before. And I mean, this is truly the hero's journey, that you go off and you don't know what you're going to find. And I cannot wait for you to return to tell the story of what you found. And so I'm curious, like, what's the best way for the listeners to find out more about you, but also kind of follow along and watch your journey as it progresses? This journey, the next journey, what's the best way for people to get to know Philip?
Тук малко трудно, защото понеже...
Как ще мога да проследя?
Минимално 6, защото аз сам се правя всичко и няма кой да разпространява, нямам спонсори, нямам нужда от това разпространение и за да се концентрирам на това там, няма как да мисля за съвременния свят. Така че само ще пускам на мой приятел данни, за да успокоявам мои близки, че съм жив. И след като се върна, вече ще направя нещо.
So Philip is going on this expedition with any sponsors, so it will be very difficult for him to send messages like that, and he'll be by himself, and it won't be any way. So the only way he'll communicate is with a friend of him, and he'll send just messages that for just his family and much the close friends and community around him, family, to know that he's okay. So it won't be any other way to communicate that.
We'll have to wait until you get back. And I really look forward to that. But in our show notes for this episode for listeners, we'll include a link to your website. You also post on Instagram, and in those places, you can find out a lot more about some of the different media that Philip's produced and put out there to share about his adventures around the world. Philip, for those listening that are inspired by you and by your primal drive and motivation, but they can't imagine such a transition from daily civilized life, what advice do you have for those people in how to stay and remain in touch with land and with nature?
Как да бъдат хората?
Хората, които не могат да си позволят такива неща, които живеят в по-нормалната среда, как все пак да се докоснат до природата и да запазят връзката си с нея? Някакви съвети?
То няма как. То трябва да ти идва отвътре. Поне аз така съм. То всеки го има в него. Просто всеки има различен механизъм да го събуди.
What Philip is saying, we all have that part of us. We have just to look inward and awake that part of us, so we can feel it, and it's so different for everybody.
Просто тя да се опитва. Обаче най-важното за днешния човек е да не забравя, че има такова нещо като природата.
So they have to just keep trying and never forget that nature is out there and it's there for us, and we have to try to find a way to it.
Защото?
It's very important.
Защото тя не е за забавление само.
And it's not just for, like, we have to have a different approach towards nature, that we have to understand it's not for fun and it's not for holidays. It has a different value, different sense to our life, importance.
Защото ако обичаш природата, ти ще обичаш в най-лошите гневни нейни форми, буите.
Because if you really love nature, you love nature not just when it's easy, you love the hardest part of nature, the storms, the bad weather, the difficulties. It's not always easy and simple there, but you have to love the whole thing as a whole.
И ако обичаш, когато тя не е гневна, значи ти имаш връзка с нея.
And if you love it, even when it's hard and nature is like mad, there's storms, and that means you have that connection with nature. When you find to love it in those states that are not very welcoming all the time and they're not very easy, but you have still to love it, that means you have a really good connection with nature.
Yeah. Well, Marina, I think it actually is leading me back to you. You just went on this very cool Amazonia experience with Philip, and as he goes off onto his journey back into the jungle, you'll head back to civilization. What are you going to take back with you to civilization? How has this trip changed you?
It's very, very soon for me right now. It's a lot of emotions, and I'm sure I'll need some time to really settle all that thing down, but it's definitely a life changing. I know I won't be able to be without it, so I think I'll definitely try to find a way to go further and come back and just I'll try to pass those feelings and experience to everybody I know, because they have different way to see things, and I understand that, because you have to be here and really experience that and feel it in a very deep level to see that it could be very welcoming. Actually, it could be very caring and not not the opposite. So, but I'll need definitely time. It's so much right now. It's so much feelings and emotions, so much pictures. And during that trip, what I've noticed, I was changing at the time right now because I was very silenced. I was so much open to silence, quiet, just explore and observe. And it was a lot of feelings, that I'm sorry, it's very hard for me to
It's real.
explain.
No, it's beautiful. It's totally understandable. You literally just came out of the jungle a day or two ago, and now, you need
Yes,
time. So
I missed it already. I wanted to be just more and more, and
yeah,
yeah, it
you're
wasn't
gonna,
enough for me actually.
yeah,
I needed more.
you're going to be absorbing more and more and thinking about it and reflecting over the next, I'm sure, days and weeks. Guys,
Exactly.
we're going to wrap up here. I just want to check in with you both. Is there anything else before we wrap up that you would like for listeners to hear as part of this episode?
Yes, this is moment.
I would say for everybody that people like me, I know Philip, he has a great experience, great qualities, but I'm a normal human as everyone. And I want to say that people has to give it a chance and try it and believe they can do it, and just give the opportunity and try and explore and see how they react to that. And it's absolutely possible, because for me, being here, it turned that even staying more, I had the necessity to stay even more and more. So it was absolutely very welcoming to me. And I think it's possible for everybody. It has to be at a certain point in your life, you have really to feel it. But yeah, at the right time, I think it's possible for everybody to do it. And you have just to pass those fears and listen to the intuition again, because that's what I did too. I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, and I left them for that journey. And of course, I have my own fears if something happens, but I was really calm and listening to my intuition. And it was like, you have to do it. It's important. And I don't regret at all. I'm so glad I did that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I really appreciate it. Philip, thank you for being the inspiration that you are. Best of luck on your next expedition. I cannot wait to hear more about it. I can't wait to see pictures and all that comes back from that adventure. Marina, best of luck for you traveling back to the United States. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope that Philip's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thank you for listening. Marina, Philip, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was a pleasure for us. It was a huge pleasure for me to be part of this.
Thank you, Scott.